Annie, if you could please call the roll.
Mayor Pollan.
Here.
Vice Mayor Satula. Councilman Smith.
Here.
Town Manager Hicks.
Here.
All right, moving on to the approval of minutes, December 2nd town meeting minutes and December 18th work session minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I move we accept the meeting minutes as presented.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the meeting minutes are approved. On to reports of officers, boards, and committees. First, the permits report.
Building use and occupancy sign permits issued during the month of December 2019. Building permits, December 2nd, renewable energy for William Savoy Jr., 121 Jenkins Drive, roof-mounted solar panels. December 17th, St. Mary's Star of the Sea Church, 30 Mattingly Avenue for a shed. December 17th, Taman Painting and Construction for Robert and Penny Pool, 302 Bland Drive for a carport. One use and occupancy permit, December 4th, James and Betty Palmer, 31 6th Street for a shed. No temporary use and occupancy permits and no demolition permits. One grading permit, December 17th, CCG for Comcast at Stewart Place, install cable for Abbey Station subdivision. No sign permits and no temporary sign permits.
Okay, thank you, Annie. On to the...
Ginger is not here. She was out.
Gotcha.
Ginger was out sick today.
Okay, no finance report today. We'll move to Town Manager, Code Enforcement, Planning Commission report.
Town Manager's Report, December 2019. Boardwalk. Notify previously chosen construction inspector of project status. Submitted traffic permit as required by SHA. We still need to obtain the traffic permit and verify that there are no additional issues with SHA or MDE. Then we will hold a pre-construction meeting. Restrooms on the Village Green. We are addressing SHA comments in the checklist. We need to develop a public awareness letter and executed MOU to complete the checklist required by SHA. Construction to begin soon with the town installing the water and sewer lines. Zoning ordinance update. Updating the zoning ordinance based on the town's attorney's comments. The ordinance will be forwarded to the town council for review and adoption. Public hearing will be held before adoption. Flood study underway in the Knots and Teats neighborhoods. Field work completed and recommendations from the engineering firm are in hand. An addendum to the flood study has been received. Grants have been applied for. We are still awaiting word on the grant submissions. And last but not least, the leaf vac is over for the season. Any additional leaves will need to be placed curbside on Wednesdays in a container marked yard waste or within yard waste bags. No plastic bags, please. Code Enforcement Report, December 2019. The town performed 24 rental inspections during the month. There were 20 code violations, 3 rubbish, 11 rental license, 6 property maintenance. The town also issued 11 notices of citations during the month, and all 11 of those citations were for rental license violations. The town also cleared 5 violations. 1 was for rubbish and 4 was for property maintenance. Planning Commission report, December 2019. The Planning Commission approved the preliminary plan for the Anchorage/Siri subdivision.
Thank you very much.
Does anyone have any questions about any of those items? Everyone's clear on what was...
No, I'd like to know what that is. I mean, I know what it is. I don't know the rest of it. The subdivision.
First time hearing of it.
I mean, preliminary plan. What is that exactly?
See, property.
For the Siri property, they brought in a preliminary site plan for their proposed 160 townhome development.
Where is that?
Right back behind the Villages of Potomac and the elementary school, that way. Yes, ma'am.
Right, that was some time ago. They came in there and they did a very thorough presentation.
Of which most of us that were here were objecting to. So they're still planning on putting in 160 townhouses back there?
Yes.
It was 164, they came down to 160.
Okay.
Is it the plan posted anywhere?
Oh, they've been to the planning commission quite a few times.
No, I meant, is it posted somewhere to see?
I don't believe it is, but I believe we can put the plan on the website.
Yeah, we can make it.
No issues with that.
Now, when you were talking about rental properties in the area, they're looking at different ones and inspecting them to see if there's violations in them? How do you get on that list if you're currently in a rental property?
If you're in a rental property, it should be on our rental list. If you want to give me your address after the fact, then we'll make sure that it's listed and we'll get an inspector down there to inspect.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And, sorry, we were supposed to have this for this meeting, so we have it now.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to
Thank you, Mr. Hicks.
if they want to speak.
Yeah, next time someone in the audience wants to speak, don't want to go to the podium, just give Karen a minute. She'll come by and she'll hand you the microphone. That way Mike can pick it up.
All right, Mr. Hicks, thank you so much.
All right, I don't see.
We do have an officer over there.
Some of them seem very low.
Hello, hello. Mine works. Mine works.
Hello? Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks,
No, it doesn't look like we have anyone from the fire department here, so we'll move to community affairs. I'm sorry, Karen. Just juggling the microphones with you.
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. Okay. Can't believe 2019 is done, but apparently it is. And because we rang in 2020 about a week or so ago. So like to thank everybody who helped make all of our events happen throughout the year of 2019. We're looking forward to sharing many more community events in 2020 with everyone. Don't forget there are some flyers. I didn't put them on the table. I'm sorry. They're back there on the board. Save the date for Saturday, September 26, 2020 for our 100th celebration. It'll be a 10 to 6 event here on the Village Green and in the building and at the senior center and all over the place with a parade and everything. And anybody who has any old pictures to share, if you can let me know, we'll make copies of them and make sure we get them back to you. We won't keep the originals. We'll just make copies of them. We're planning to do a lot of displays in here. And our first community activities meeting is set for Tuesday, January 14th. We are going to try starting at 6 o'clock because most of our folks are retired that are on the committee. And we're going to try 6 o'clock instead of 7 just to see if that helps everybody out. And if that doesn't work, then we'll go back to 7. It's here in the Village Green Pavilion. And, of course, we welcome anyone else that wants to come to any of our meetings and any ideas you might have. And then we're kicking off in February, Saturday, February the 8th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. here in the building will be the next United Way of Charles County's Community Connections Service pop-up. This will be geared towards tax return preparation for qualified households by appointment only, and there is a number on the flyer that you can call to schedule your appointment. Ask a doctor, health consultation. Ask a lawyer for legal consultation. There'll be food, items, pet supplies, and more, and it's all at no cost. And the mobile library will also be on site. Again, that's here in the building from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, February the 8th, and that is brought to us by the United Way of Charles County and their partnering agencies. Also in February, in recognition of Black History Month, the the Charles County Public Library System is featuring a Let It Shine, the American Civil Rights Movement, 1955 to 1968, here at the building on the 10th of February at 6:30 p.m. It's geared for ages 8 and older, and it's a free event celebrating Black History Month. And a little bit about I just printed this out. The Charles County Public Library is accessible for people with disabilities for special needs. You can contact the special number at least 2 weeks prior to an event. And the mobile library will also be on site here. And this program is a acclaimed show that shines light on important milestones in our history, including the Montgomery bus boycott, the SCLC Brown versus Board of Education, the sit-in movement, the Freedom Riders, the March on Washington, and the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. And it's a free event. Also beginning in February, the first class will be on Saturday, February 15th from 10 a.m. to noon. Again, it's a free wellness revelation, 9-week journey to physical and spiritual wellness. And this will be held in the Senior Center front room. And it's a 9-week study, and you can do it on site, or if you're of the younger generation and like to do the video thing, you can plug in with that. And this is being sponsored by Miss Tiffany Daniel. She is a veteran of the Army, and she also is very involved in our some of our veteran community events that we hold. And she wanted to bring this to Indian Head. And that's all I have for right now. We'll be working on the whole 2020 calendar and putting that together and hopefully finalizing it at our January 14th meeting and rocking and rolling on all of our events. Any questions?
All right, moving on. Community and policing report. Officer Curtis.
Hey everybody, Corporal Curtis. Nothing really big to report to add on. Hope everyone had happy holidays. The only thing really is Waldorf is getting hit really hard with stolen vehicles. I know it's getting a lot colder out, and for the people who have to wake up at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning to go to work, 90% of the people will go outside, start their cars, go back inside, finish getting ready, and then come back outside to a nice warm car. Well, within those 5-10 minutes that you're inside getting ready, there's about 3 vehicles that are driving through neighborhoods, and they're going and they're jumping in the car and they're stealing cars. It's very big right now in Waldorf because people aren't locking their doors. They don't have the automatic or remote start. So I highly stress and suggest that don't do that. If you can't lock your cars with your engine running, then don't start your cars out in the morning or leave it unattended. It's only a matter of time before it makes its way down here. But right now it's very, very big in Waldorf. Keep your doors locked. Keep your cars locked. If anybody has a Ring doorbell, any type of camera surveillance system in the house, outside the house, and you see anything suspicious, anything to where you might see, it doesn't seem right, doesn't feel right, even if you don't think it's that big of a deal, give us a call, let us know. You call a non-emergency number, the 301-932-2222. Thefts are very big right now. Robberies are big. Stolen vehicles are big. And just because you're not a victim of it doesn't mean 5 houses down the street just got hit with something. So it could, by someone calling us and letting us know, hey, this happened, this happened and just didn't seem right, we'll come look at it. If it's something that we don't think is big, okay, thank you so much for showing us. We'll write something down, we'll document it, and that'll be it. Or it could be something huge where it might break a case, solve a case. Other than that, that's all I got. And, yes, ma'am. So it depends. We don't keep in track of, like, we have our detectives, our Homeland Security. If something big needs to come, if it's brought to our attention, then we have our IT guys. Everyone will go and they'll look at it. As far as I'm concerned, or my knowledge is how much I know of what because they're the geniuses up there. So I don't think that there's somebody constantly looking over it. We do have the sheriff's office Facebook page that they have people on there constantly posting something. If you want to look out for this, thank you for this, fundraising for that, there's events that are coming. If they see something suspicious, if they see something, then they'll let our detectives, our IT guys know. So not every neighborhood has a community police officer. Not every certain neighborhoods, the community policing unit. We try to get on our neighborhoods Facebook page, and so we try to become add ourselves to our neighborhood's Facebook page, and then that way we can see what's going on in our neighborhoods, what's going on in the areas. The patrol guys are so busy that they don't, they might try and get themselves on a page, but they're constantly running. That normally the community policing unit, we try and get on the Facebook page and see what's going on if we can. Any other questions? All right, thank you guys.
Moving on, briefings, we have none. Presentations, recognitions, none. Resolutions, none. Ordinances, we do have an ordinance for adoption concerning the acquisition of the Henderson, for introduction.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. Whew. An ordinance concerning the acquisition of the Henderson property.
Okay. Ordinance 01-01-20, introduced by Mayor and Council. Date introduced January 6th, 2020. Date adopted is tentatively set for February 3rd, 2020. If it is adopted at that time, it would become effective on February 23rd, 2020. It is an ordinance concerning acquisition of Christopher C. Henderson Revocable Living Trust property for the purpose of authorizing and approving the town's purchase of certain property owned by the I'm having trouble with that word today. Living Trust of Christopher C. Henderson, dated November 16th, 2016, under certain terms and conditions. The town of Indian Head has the opportunity to purchase from Timothy P. Henderson Sr., trustee of the Revocable Living Trust of Christopher C. Henderson, dated November 16th, 2016, for public purposes, the 2 parcels of land and improvements located adjacent to the Potomac River on Henderson Lane in the town of Indian Head, consisting of 5.5 and 3 acres, more or less. The town council expects the town's acquisition of the property will entice and attract economic development along the Potomac River waterfront in the town of Indian Head, and will allow the town to develop plans for possible future extension of the existing boardwalk in coordination with waterfront development. The town and Henderson have negotiated an agreement of sale for the town's purchase of the property, a copy of which the town council has reviewed and is on file in the office of the town clerk. The town council considers this purchase to be in the interests of the town and its residents, and by this ordinance desires to authorize and approve the agreement of sale and purchase of the property. Be it enacted by the town council of the town of Indian Head that the council of the town of Indian Head authorizes and approves the agreement of sale and the town's purchase of the property in accordance with the terms of the agreement of sale, and authorizes and directs the town manager, the town clerk, and other town officials and employees as necessary to execute the agreement of sale on behalf of the town and take all further actions required to consummate the purchase of the property, and ratifies, confirms, and validates the execution and delivery on behalf of the town of any documents heretofore executed on behalf of the town in furtherance of the purchase of the property as authorized by this ordinance. And be it further enacted that this ordinance shall become effective at the expiration of 20 calendar days after its approval by the council.
That was just for introduction tonight, and we'll talk about it more next month and vote on it then. But we feel it's key to secure that waterfront property to further our economic development and kind of control, what the town's vision would like to see on that property.
Okay, excuse me, but you're saying that we're not going to discuss it until the night you actually vote on it?
Oh, we can discuss it, absolutely.
I'm just curious, is when you say what type of, you're saying to develop it, other than extending the boardwalk, if that ever happens, what type of development are we talking about?
I think
Commercial, residential?
I think that's a conversation we'd love to have with the community, and get community input on it. I mean, honestly, we'd like to have meetings in regard to this property, and one thing we definitely like to see is an extension of, of the boardwalk. we're getting close to the construction date of, kind of this first section. We'd like to see an extension of that, to really create, quality amenity along the Potomac here in town, and then have a conversation about what we would like to see. There's a plan back in the early 2000s in a visioning document with the town. We've kind of reviewed that and see if that's something we'd like to pursue, but really it's embryonic. So we'd like to have conversations and develop partnerships and have a lot more discussions on it.
And you're going to have these discussions before you vote on it next month?
No, the purchase of the property is not, we plan on having the discussions after we acquire the property and into, what's going to go on there. But, still, there are, future extension of the boardwalk and purposes that at its price point, we'd really like to move forward with.
Okay, thank you.
I understand that it's 2 parcels, 1 parcel, 5.5, the other 3. Is that correct?
That's what it said in the ordinance.
Correct.
Yes.
Did you mention what the price, or you're not mentioning the price?
The price wasn't in the ordinance, but we did mention it at the last town. Sorry.
No, you're good.
It wasn't listed in the ordinance, but we did list it and mention it at the last town meeting. It was for $500,000.
For 8 acres of land on the Potomac,
That is correct.
$500,000.
Yes, sir.
What a steal.
Agreed.
He's not, there's no markup on it. He's giving it to us for the appraised value.
And where exactly is this located at?
Henderson Lane, do you know where?
It's like a nook.
Yes.
Thank you much.
I mean, you don't go there unless you're trying to go there.
Correct.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Okay. Seeing none, I'll move forward. Petitions, none, unfinished business, 2020 town meeting time change. So we've gotten public comment at last meeting and a few others. So my suggestion would be time meeting change to 7 o'clock. 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
So only 30 minutes setback.
I was ready for it.
Agreed.
Paper says 6, so I was ready for you, Brandon.
That's what was discussed
Mr. Mayor, I move we make a motion to accept 7 o'clock as a proposed meeting time.
Any discussion? Thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 7 o'clock will be the new town meeting time change. Thank you for everyone for your input. We were serious when we wanted town input towards this, so thank you. We appreciate it. Vivian?
Recruit more people to come at 7.
Oh, okay. All right, now on to new business. We have the NHHC anchor. So we were approached. Actually, Karen, can you give, you're the one that was approached. Can you give some backstory on that one? Thank you.
Okay, so the anchor that is displayed at Indian Head in front of Indian Head Elementary School has been there since 1972. It is on loan from the Naval Base, or the Artifact people. I don't know exactly what their title is. So this all came about just like between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I guess. In the meantime, now that people are back from vacations, their extended vacations, I'm working with Becky and Janet from the base, and a gentleman that I just found out about the other day from the Board of Education that signed off, and either I haven't been able to get in touch with him because he's been off. They wanted to, the principal didn't want to take responsibility for the anchor because they had to sign some paperwork because it's been here since 1972, but someone's doing an update on all the inventory throughout the United States. And they said, look, if you're going to leave it there, you got to do this, this, and this. And they didn't want to do that. But the superintendent in charge of this at the board level, the piece of paper I was just sent Friday evening was basically look like they can keep it there. But I'm not sure about that yet. So, and I didn't realize, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that this was on the agenda, or I would have sent you all an email. So if the school wasn't interested, the Board of Ed isn't interested in keeping it over there, then the town council is interested in keeping it on the village green, because obviously it needs to be out here with us. So right now, until I talk to the superintendent, so I can give you an update, and hopefully I can do that for you tomorrow, if it stays on the property of the school, great. And if it doesn't, then I'm working with Becky on that side to find out who would move it over to relocate it, perhaps at the War Memorial or wherever we decide across the street. And it weighs 3,500 pounds, so it's not like we can just go pick it up with our guys with the backhoe and swing it on over. So,
But it's too late. We got excited about it. It's
well, it's still there. You can admire it every time you come home. So you can take a detour and ride through the village green and to get to Mattingly Avenue. So yeah. Oh, here's our fire chief. He showed up too.
okay.
So again, the school got contacted, the principal of the school. But the principal of the school wasn't aware. And again, we had all this long vacation time in between all of this. So if they had to assume reliability for it, they did not want to they didn't want the responsibility. But I believe the higher up at the Board of Education signed a paper, and it sounded like to me on Friday that they don't have to do anything with it except for just say, yes, every year when they update, hey, do you still have that anchor on your property? Yes, we do. So if that's the case, then the Board of Education will leave it where it is. If that's not the case, then the town is interested in having it stay here and not be taken away to Naval District, Washington at the Navy Yard or whatever. So, but I don't have that. Okay, good. I'm so glad I could do that, especially on a Monday, because today was not a good day. So, does that clear everybody's mind enough? Okay. All right. And without further ado, would you like the fire chief now?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Town Council, citizens. I apologize for being late. I got tied up. Oh, really loud? Okay. So real quick, for the month of December, 19 fire responses. 19 first due responses, and then 9 mutual aid responses to other areas in Charles and Prince George's surrounding counties. We had 42 calls for emergency medical services. And let's see, for the year, 292 responses on the fire side, 129 were within the town limits, 163 were mutual aid responses, 431 calls for emergency medical services. On the fire side, we had 523 man-hours spent throughout the year. Training through drills and MIFRE, other formal education, 1,375 hours. Smoke alarms this year, from my best calculations, were at 152 for the year. That big push in November with the Red Cross was a big help and really helped get the word out. They just did it in Nanjemoy last weekend. Did 167 in Nanjemoy's area. So the word's getting out. That Red Cross thing is a big help. We're going to try to schedule something with them again in the spring and see if we can get some of the other folks that may have not been around, or if there's some folks that just didn't get the word. But I'll try to stay on top of that and get some better announcements and better PR going for that. And just real quick, of course, I'm sure everybody's watched the weather. They're talking about some nasty weather tomorrow. Nothing major. But again, we start talking about inclement weather. It's starting to get even more colder, although I live in the state of Maryland. Just wait, it'll change in 5 minutes, so we'll be all right. But I just wanted to talk real quick, CO detectors. If you have any type of fuel oil, propane, natural gas, any type of fuel that heats your house fireplace, go out and invest in one. Okay. Carbon monoxide, of course, is produced by the incomplete combustion of fuel. There could be the furnace needed to be cleaned. There could be the fireplace is not burning properly. Go ahead and get it serviced. Go ahead and get yourself one of these detectors. You can get them at Lowe's. You can get them at Bronze Road Building Supply, Walmart. They all have them. My suggestion is if you buy one, buy a standalone CO2 carbon monoxide detector. Don't buy a smoke detector, carbon monoxide combined. And get one that's a digital readout. It has a little digital screen on it. If it has a low battery, it will show LB. And if there is any carbon monoxide readings, it will give you a digital readout, a number. So if you do feel or you do have to call the fire department, you can tell us, hey, look, it said 30, 20, whatever the number was. And then with our meters, we can go in and really find out what's going on and get a better idea. So if you don't have those, unfortunately, I don't have a program yet with those. I'm trying to find a vendor that will help, again, the whole county instead of just Indian Head. If there's some way that we can get a reduced rate or get some type of grant with those, but that's turning into be a little bit challenging. But other than that, that's all I've got. Again, I apologize for being late unless anyone has any questions about anything. All right, thank you very much. Happy New Year to everybody.
I think we're all miscellaneous. Announcement of upcoming meetings. Community Activities Committee will meet Tuesday, January 14th, 6 p.m. at the Village Green Pavilion. Planning Commission Wednesday, January 15th, 5:30 p.m. Village Green Pavilion. Town Hall, Community Affairs, Public Works, closed in observance of Martin Luther King Day. Monday, January 20th, no trash pickup. Town Council work session will be Wednesday, January 22nd, 3:30 p.m. Town Hall. And town meeting will be Monday, February 3rd, 7 p.m. Village Green Pavilion. Final decision. Oh, yeah. I already made the final decision. Yep, that's my bad. Okay. On to citizens' comments. If you have a comment, please approach the microphone, state your name and your comment.
Vivian Elder at 88 Mattingly Avenue. I know a lot of times it sounds like I'm very negative, but I truly am trying to learn how this town council and everything works. And I've been doing a lot of reading. So I would just like to ask a couple things. The first, Planning Commission, no minutes have been posted for the last 4 months. Have they not met at all?
They have?
The last 4 months of 2019, I should say. There are no minutes from any of those months on the
It
website.
just met in December, so when they approve those in January, those will go up.
Okay.
But they didn't have one in October, they didn't have one in November. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but they didn't have one for a couple months.
Well, there weren't any posted for September, October, November, or December.
December wouldn't be up yet because they're not approved yet.
Okay. That brings me to another one, and I know we discussed this like after the meeting last time, but I still don't understand how you guys can approve minutes when nobody actually sees them until after the fact.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you guys are probably getting them today before the meeting or something to review, but nobody else gets to review them, and I don't understand that.
I think one thing we can do is,
Post the draft minutes as long as people understand they're not approved.
yeah, we can post the draft minutes as long as everyone knows that they're not approved until the start of the meeting.
I mean, just to me, because like you guys
Yeah.
come in here, you vote on it, it's approved, and I'm like, okay, well, where are they? Because what if I have a question?
Yeah.
You know, what if that's not how I remember it going down? You understand what I'm saying?
Annie, is that something we can do for next month?
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. And also, I would ask, and I know, I'm sorry, but when you're typing up the minutes, can you remember that those of us that read them do not know what all those initials and acronyms mean? So the first time you put it in there, could you like spell it out? Like on the Planning Commission, there's the last 5 months, I think, that I read, there was a lot of talk about revising zoning and all this kind of stuff, and they use that, was it T? There you go. I have no clue what that is.
Town center mixed use.
So, and that's one of the reasons I was asking, like, about the Henderson property. I mean, is that going to be mixed use, you know?
I think it's currently zone mixed use, which allows flexibility, but it's something kind of to be discussed later.
Yeah, something that's going to be decided later down the road.
Yeah, we'll
and
come
is
up
the Planning Commission ever going to get this revision or whatever that they've been talking about done?
for the.
Yeah, for the last, what, 5 months? 2 years? That's been going on for 2 years? Oh, my Father. Okay. And And then the last one, I didn't have this one until tonight, but I just want to understand the Siri project. That was the very first meeting I came to, which brings me to another point about the meetings. And we were talking about getting more people here. That was also the most well-attended meeting I've been to. And that was, what, 2 years ago? So I think a lot of the problems we were talking about with getting people here is not so much the time of the meeting, it is the content of the meeting.
Agree.
Okay, so I think you guys need to discuss more at the meetings, less at the work sessions, planning commission, whatever, and actually, let us put in some input. But at that time, it was my understanding that the whole thing that was voted on was the zoning thing, which nobody never ever did answer why it was zoned open space originally. But I know that's moot point now because it's already been approved. But I was told that was just like a concept that was being sold. So now you're saying there actually are going to come in and build 160 townhouses? I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly.
So, I mean,
They still don't have their final plan in, but yes, that's their proposed plan at this time.
Okay. Did they mention anything at all about senior housing? Senior anything?
That was discussed during planning commission, but no, they are not
They are
proposing
not?
any senior housing.
Okay. Is the town ever going to do anything about a senior living community in Indian Head?
I mean, I think, so when I look at kind of the projection for the town and, we see the kind of ULI study, the economic development study we did a few years ago, it called for kind of a diversity of different housing options. So I think that's something that I'd certainly like to see. But, we have to get someone willing to do it.
True.
And that's the
But are you guys
biggest.
actively trying to pursue it? Because you told me the same thing 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
Everybody's all for it, but is anybody actually trying to do anything about it?
I have meetings with developers often, and we talk about different ideas as it comes to, residential housing growth and the diversity that we need. We talk about senior family living and that sort of thing as well. We also talk about kind of economic development along the 210 corridor. It's really trying to get someone to do it and push them along. So, we got the Velocity Center, which was good, and the developer working down there on that economic development project, and we have the Siri group really pushing this. But at that time, I don't think the Siri group is really interested in the senior living aspect of that. So, I mean, there's other parcels of property that we can pursue those opportunities on, but you have to get the developer to want to do it is the big kind of stick on it. So,
Well, have you talked to any of the ones that have actually done it in Waldorf and La Plata?
I have.
And they're not interested in building in Indian Head?
Not a lot of interest from developers in Waldorf and La Plata and to developing in really Western Charles County in general. So that's the big push is one, to get them to even look down here, and then two, to get them to do what we want. So that's one thing why we're willing to take the risk on the Henderson property, is because we can kind of control the town's vision and do partnerships with, the town people to figure out, hey, what do we want to see at this property? And two, how can we execute that vision in the future? So that was one reason when we got the price point on it, we're like, well, one, that's a easy, kind of number to swallow for what you're getting back in return. And then two, it allows us to control our vision, have conversations with town residents, and then push, development moving forward and, help entice developers in.
Yes, I know I'm over my 3 minutes. One last question. Any more news about the possibility of actually getting center lines painted on our roads?
No. We talked about it for a little bit. We'd have to, so we looked at MML and we went through and see what ordinances, so we'd have to institute an ordinance to say, hey, these are the restrictions for center lines on certain roads, and what's the width criteria, and then what's the cost. So MML, which is the Maryland Municipal League, that, kind of statewide, not a lot of towns outside of Rockville and larger cities really had kind of ordinances that laid out what would constitute this road being lined and this road being not. So that's something we briefly talked about, but something that we'd have to lay out criteria for that first before going forward.
Are any of our roads designated like emergency evacuation roads?
No, not that I'm aware of. Chief,
We don't have anything like any kind of anything.
210 highway, that would be about it.
Just 210.
Strauss.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Been able to hear all night, so I hope you all can hear me. Can you give it, Warren Bowie, 9 Maple Street, Indian Head. Can you give us an update on the Velocity Center as to where they stand? I was under the impression there was going to be some grand opening in January.
Yes, so that got pushed back a little bit to about mid-February. So their goal for starting date is to open up spring 2020. So CSM chose the basically outfit, the inside. Later, I guess was November 2019, right? Yes. Okay. So they're working on the inside of that currently, and as far as I know, it's still spring 2019. I know originally they were shooting for. I said 2019. I'm still not used to it being 2020 yet. But yeah. So originally the date was beginning of 2020, and it's looking more like spring time 2020. But I can make a phone call and check on a further status update.
Has any businesses or anything expressed an interest in that you are aware of?
There have been talks. I don't know how far those talks have gone, but there are interested parties. But we leave the kind of business landlord rent discussions kind of to them, and don't like to get in the middle of things too much.
The other thing, when I was on the planning commission, NAMO came in here and wanted to build a beautiful office complex right there. And because of impervious surfaces and things like that, they couldn't do it. Where are they now? Are they have any plans of building anything in Indian Head or occupying any of the vacant buildings?
Every few months we get kind of whispers from NAMO and talks about possibly doing this, possibly doing that. But since that planning commission meeting, there hasn't been a whole lot of push, from NAMO to locate in here since they developed those plans. There's a few things kind of talked about, but nothing's super definitive. They're currently renovating space on the base and I believe accepting contracts, so that's a positive sign moving forward. But, we want them to be located here in town, obviously. But, yeah, we'll see how discussions continue to go.
Trash pickup the Friday after Christmas. Did something happen?
We were closed the Friday after Christmas.
You were closed the Friday after Christmas?
Yes, sir.
What was the occasion?
Well, they followed Charles County, who gave their employees the Thursday and Friday. Council gave their employees the Thursday and Friday, along with the town of La Plata as well.
And the trench on Pine Street, I guess that's compacted. Are you planning on putting a finish on that?
The trench on Pine Street, yes, sir. We're planning to do some paving work in that area, and the trench is one of the areas we plan to take care of. Yes, sir.
Okay, before we finish, I'd like to congratulate Jacob Ham, 160-pound wrestler from Lackey High School, on his first place finish at the Patriot Classic. Seeing none other business, I'd like to adjourn.